The promoter of Alexander Povetkin, Andrei Rybinski, is not happy with the WBC's decision to make Alexander Povetkin fight Berman Stavern for the interim WBC heavyweight title. In his opinion, the WBC should have demoted Deontay Wilder to champion in recess since he's out with injury for so long, and they should have allowed Povetkin and Berman Stavern to fight for the vacant belt. I'm going to quote Rybinski directly here. He said, "If Wilder is injured and cannot box, it means that Wilder should become champion in recess, like what happened with Gregory Drozd. It cannot be that different boxers are handled in different ways. Accordingly, the WBC, in my opinion, should make a decision that Wilder should become a champion in recess if he cannot box, and Povetkin would have to fight for the vacant title." Now, what Rybinski is alluding to there is the fact that when one of his other fighters, Gregory Drozd, the one-time WBC cruiserweight champion, suffered a serious injury and was unable to compete, he was made champion in recess. And Tony Bellew and Ilunga Makabu fought for his vacant belt, the full version of the title, not an interim version. And obviously now, Tony Bellew is the full WBC champion. And Rybinski is saying, why didn't the WBC do this with Wilder? Well, in my opinion, and I expressed this previously, I think that they are punishing Povetkin. I read the lengthy report, the lengthy statement by the WBC on their findings, and to me it seemed clear that they are still monitoring Povetkin and that they don't have conclusive proof that he did anything wrong. They can't ascertain, this is the language they use, they can't ascertain if he used meldonium after January the 1st, 2016. But given the fact that they're making Povetkin fight for his mandatory position again, essentially, I mean, that's all that an interim belt really is a trumped up mandatory position. They're making Povetkin fight for his mandatory position again in what looks to be some type of punishment without it being overtly a punishment hidden behind protocol. You know, that's what it seems to be to me. And obviously this Stavern fight is not a gimme. It's not an easy fight for Povetkin. It's not like they just threw him anybody and said, yeah, there you go, stay busy, you know, beat this knockover for the interim belt and there you go, you can fight Wilder. Rybinski probably would have been happy with that. But no, they've put him in there with a tough guy. And if he was to lose the fight, then he loses his chance at fighting for the WBC title. So Rybinski not happy. I'm sure Povetkin's not happy. But my interpretation of this is, as I keep saying, this is some type of punishment. And the WBC, again, I don't have the inside track on the WBC. I'm just trying to interpret their actions from the outside looking in. But to me, it seems as though they're suspicious of Povetkin. And to me, that's why they took so long to make their judgment on it. I mean, this took several months. It was, you know, we were told it was going to take a couple of weeks. The WBC kept saying it's going to take a couple of weeks. It ended up taking several months for them to make this judgment. And now they're saying Povetkin has to fight basically for his mandatory position all over again. You know? And they're not doing what they did with Gregory Drozd and making him champion in recess and allowing Stavern and Povetkin to fight for the vacant belt. Makes you wonder, will Rybinski take legal action against the WBC? He's very, sue happy, to coin a phrase. He likes to sue people. He likes to threaten people with legal action. Will he do it against the WBC for their decision? Potentially, Povetkin or Berman Stavern could go a different route if they wanted to. Neither one of them are obligated to take this particular fight. If they want to fight for the WBC full title against Wilder, yes, they have to fight. But if Povetkin decided, you know what, to hell with this, I'm going to try to go for one of the other belts, he can do that. So can Stavern. Some people had asked the question, does this rule Berman Stavern out of an Anthony Joshua fight this November? No, it doesn't. All it means is that Stavern has got options now. He could fight this interim fight with Povetkin for the WBC interim, or if he's offered the shot at Anthony Joshua, he could go that route. It's up to him. It depends which route he wants to go down. If he was to go the Anthony Joshua route, then I guess the next contender would then fight Povetkin for this interim belt. And I think the next guy in line, again, correct me if I'm wrong, I think the next guy in line may be Johan Duopa. All right. That might be the right pronunciation finally. Johan Duopa, he might be the next in line. I wasn't sure if he was number 2 already or if it was Stavern. Apparently, from what people were telling me in the comment section to my previous video, they were saying it was actually Stavern that was number 2 and Duopa was number 3. And if that's the case, yeah, if Stavern was to take on Joshua for the IBF, then potentially we could get Povetkin against Duopa, which I think is a more winnable fight for Povetkin. Styles make fights. Duopa is a big guy. He's strong, but he's not the most talented in terms of boxing skills. He's pretty basic. And I think Povetkin should be able to deal with him and beat him on points. Stavern is a more complicated puzzle, I think, for Povetkin. Stylistically, I actually think Stavern likes the Povetkin fight from a stylistic point of view. Stavern likes guys who come at him, particularly a guy around his own height. Stavern will be able to find room for that right hand and the hooks and all that type of stuff. A lot of people are saying that they expect Povetkin to beat Bermane Stiverne if the fight goes ahead. And again, I can understand that. I would probably make Povetkin favourite myself. People are saying that they see Povetkin stopping Stiverne late. They're talking about Stiverne getting dropped in his most recent fight against Derek Rossi. Well, there's no footage as far as I'm aware of the Derek Rossi fight. So unless you saw it live, then most of us are just going on hearsay. I heard, this is just hearsay, but I heard that the knockdown that he suffered against Derek Rossi was more of a slip, where a punch landed at the same time, a speculative punch landed at the same time as he was slipping, and so they called it a knockdown. I heard that he wasn't hurt at all and he was, laughing or whatever when the referee called it a knockdown. So I don't really put too much stock in that. And that's just against the journeyman. I'm sure Stiverne would be a lot more up for a fight against Povetkin and would see a much better performance out of him anyway. And again, stylistically, Povetkin suits him more than Derek Rossi. Derek Rossi is a journeyman who will mess you around. He will box on the back foot and do this, that, and the other. Whereas we know what Povetkin's going to do against, well, we think we know what Povetkin's going to do against Stiverne. He's more than likely going to come forward and Stiverne's going to box on the back foot. If not, they'll box in the middle of the ring. And I'm telling you now, in the middle of the ring, it's still very competitive. Stiverne's got the quicker hands, I think, than Povetkin. Both of them got good power. And, people saying that they think Povetkin would stop Stiverne late. Listen, this is a fight where Povetkin himself could get stopped if he gets clipped. Stiverne is a very hard puncher, people. Very hard puncher. This is going to be one of the hardest punches that Povetkin's ever faced in his career. Maybe only Klitschko might be somebody that hits harder than Stiverne on Povetkin's resume if this fight goes ahead. Stiverne may be the second hardest puncher that Povetkin's faced, so he's going to have to watch out himself. And I can understand people saying that, yeah, Povetkin may stop Stiverne late. I could see that happening, to be honest. But at the same time, I could see Stiverne, if Povetkin's not careful, clipping him and Povetkin taking a trip to the canvas. So that's why I like the fight. I think it's highly competitive and I think it's very interesting stylistically. But as I say, Rybinski not happy with the situation. It is what it is. You have to deal with it. So drop your comments in the comment section below, people. Let me know how you feel about this whole thing. It's your boy Hatman. I'm out.